What happens when a man claims he bought a family house, but the very grandmother who owns it says he never did? In today's explosive story, secrets, lies, and hidden truths are finally exposed. A father insists that the house is his, that he paid for it, that he deserves half of everything. But when the phone call is made to Granny, the one person who knows the truth, the entire room falls silent. Did he ever buy it? Was the money ever paid? Or has he been living a lie, trying to take what was never his? This is not just about bricks and walls. This is about legacy, about family, about the battle between truth and deception. And tonight, the shocking reality will change everything. Stay with us, because once you hear Granny's words, you'll understand why this fight might end in court and why nothing will ever be the same again. Rea Tsotella is the name that people know so well. Whenever you call on us, we arrive to stand with you. Today we received a letter from someone in desperate need, and his words were heavy with pain. He wrote that he suspects his own father wants to squander the legacy that their late mother left behind, sharing it with strangers. We could not ignore such a cry for help, so we came. Now we are in Mabopane, here to listen, to confront, and to reveal the truth. There is a young woman who insists that her mother's house has been taken over by people who had no right. Our concern is real, because the question remains, why was her mother's house seized? We searched and we found the father, and now it is time to bring him forward. Bishop greets him with a steady voice, inviting the man to sit. The father looks uneasy as he admits where he is, but denies having done anything wrong. Bishop wastes no time and calls the children into the studio. He instructs the daughter to face her father directly and speak her truth. Her voice trembles, but her words are sharp. She says that she brought him here because she always hoped he would sit down with his own children and hand over what belongs to them. But nothing has happened. Her mother passed away in 2020, yet instead of mourning together, he brought another woman into the house. That woman now rules everything, and locks were changed, shutting out his own children. She says she used to come home weekly to clean, until she was banned, stripped of every right, left with her brother Karabo, who has fallen into drugs. She now bears the burden alone, surviving only on her salary. She accuses her father of owning several houses and businesses, yet leaving his children with nothing. The father shakes his head and claims the locks were changed because the children were removing things. The daughter fires back, insisting the only items she touched were taken after her mother's funeral, and she placed them safely in Karabo's house on the same street. Bishop interrupts, asking the father why he never simply asked, instead of assuming theft. The daughter defends herself passionately, reminding him that she always gave back what he asked for, like the television, and never refused him. The father mutters about a missing blampot, but she counters, saying everything was kept safe in the bedroom and nothing was stolen. The daughter's voice grows heavier. She says she took things because she knows how much her mother worked for them, side by side with her father to build the life they had. She demands to know why he cannot acknowledge that. Tension rises as she mentions her brother Sammy, who now stays with her because their father abandoned him. She accuses him of ignoring Sammy's hunger and only calling him when help with the business is needed. Bishop leans forward, pressing the father to respond. The father tries to deflect, but the daughter's frustration spills out. She recalls that Mafoloso recently called Sammy when Kagiso, the father's helper, was arrested. She refused to let Sammy go, accusing her father of using him only when convenient. When Sammy returned, he was filthy, smelling of despair, his mind clouded. Tears almost break her voice as she says she is still young and deserves her own life. Yet she carries the weight of everyone else. She goes further, revealing Sammy confessed to her why he turns to drugs. He told her that it destroys him to watch the children of the new woman enjoy everything while he is locked out, denied even the van that should have been his. The van Kagiso drives should have belonged to Karabo. she says, and the business once built with her late mother should have been managed with Karabo. But instead, he has been cast aside. Her tone turns bitter, accusing her father of not even caring whether Karabo eats or has a place to sleep. Bishop raises his voice, looking directly at the father, and asks why his own children must stand here begging for dignity while outsiders take over. The father looks down, unable to answer. The studio falls into silence, the weight of the daughter's words pressing on everyone present. Sammy has not been working for weeks. Sometimes even months go by without him lifting a finger. There was a period when he took jobs weighing bones in Krugersdorp. They would pay him R800. And since he could not be trusted to manage the money directly, the payment was transferred to my account. Out of that amount, nearly half was gone instantly because he had to buy diesel, about R400, just to get to Krugersdorp. I remember one night vividly. He called me in distress, stranded on the roadside without fuel. He begged for help, saying his car was stuck at the garage. I paid for his diesel myself. Bishop leans forward and asks, "Is that truly what Sammy told you?" The daughter insists it is, adding that she was even given the garage's account details and she has proof of the payment. The father shakes his head, demanding to know whether Sammy actually admitted to buying diesel with that money. Bishop cuts in, saying if Sammy has something to say, he should come here and speak directly, because accusations without his voice cannot stand. Still, the daughter insists she has evidence that he was stranded and called her for help. The father responds harshly that Sammy is paid just like any other worker, but she argues back, saying it's never enough, and the truth is, he's drowning in drugs. Bishop's voice grows heavy, pointing out that Sammy runs to her whenever he gets money, and it vanishes into drugs. The daughter defends him weakly, saying it is stress that drives him to smoke. She admits she herself can endure stress, but Sammy is breaking under the weight of it all. Then Bishop changes direction, asking plainly, whose house is in question? The father declares it is his. Bishop probes further, were you legally married to their mother? He nods. Are these children your own blood? The father admits Sammy is indeed his biological son, while the other was still very young when he met her mother. Bishop raises his hand and states clearly the danger. There is another woman involved. The father immediately responds, saying he is not living with her. Bishop repeats, not living with her? The man insists, no, they are not staying together. Bishop warns him sternly that when a man dies, the woman left behind can claim rights to his property. Right now, he may feel in control, but once he passes, she will trouble the children. He explains that half of the property belongs to the deceased's children through their mother, and the other half belongs to him. Should he ever choose to remarry and sell the property, he must still give the children their rightful half. Bishop's tone sharpens, accusing him of gambling with property while entertaining another relationship, and reminding him he has to think about how the estate will be managed when he is gone. The father tries to defend himself, saying he was not locking the children out and that he has no intention of marrying another woman. He insists his children will inherit once he dies, but complains that they mistreat him. He adds that all of them are living in his houses anyway, one in Soshanguve, another in Maracana. Bishop cuts in quickly, asking who drives the van. The father says it is his son, who lives in one of his houses. Bishop presses harder. Is it not your girlfriend's son? The father answers firmly that it is not, it is his employee. He clarifies that no child of his girlfriend has ever driven his van. He even has his own car, though it is currently broken down. He has to work so he can repair it. Bishop looks at him straight and asks whether he still holds a valid license. The father sighs and admits he had one but lost it. Tension thickens as Bishop fires a more personal question, demanding to know why he allows himself to take drugs and whether he plans to truly marry this woman or just play games with her. The father grows defensive, saying they are not playing, they are living together. Bishop raises his eyebrows and asks if he is going to make her his wife. The father hesitates, saying time will tell. Bishop warns that he does not want to be the one guaranteeing a shaky relationship. Even if he marries her, Bishop emphasizes, they must start their own life apart, without dragging the deceased woman's estate into it. The man nods, but Bishop's voice cuts deeper, reminding him that every asset under his name is at high risk. If he chooses to marry this new woman, she will automatically be entitled to apportion 25% of his half of the house. The weight of those words lingers in the air, making everyone in the room shift uncomfortably. The father raises his voice, insisting that his children will get their share one day. Bishop cuts in firmly, clarifying that it is not just a share, but their rightful 50% of their late mother's estate. He tells the father that if he is unsure about whether to marry his new partner or not, then at least everyone must be absolutely certain about the house. The point is simple. Is the property registered under his children's names, or is it shared? The father tries to shift the attention by saying he owns more than one property. Bishop seizes on that, saying if he has houses, then the solution is simple. Give the children the one that was built and shared with their mother. The father quickly denies, claiming he already gave them a house, even two. He insists that the houses they are staying in belong to him, not to the children. The daughter bursts out angrily, saying her parents had a house in the extension before the father even entered her mother's life. She reminds everyone that her parents later bought land in Marikana, where they built two more houses, one meant specifically for her brother Karabo, with the title in his name. Bishop turns to her, demanding clarity. Under whose name is her current house registered? The daughter admits she does not own a property herself, explaining that the place she stays in belonged to her late aunt, her mother's sister. According to her, the documents show that her grandmother became the rightful owner after the aunt's passing. So, as of now, the Soshanguve house is registered under the grandmother's name. Bishop shakes his head, reminding her that if the property is not in her name, legally it does not belong to her. She repeats with frustration that she has no house, only her grandmother's mercy. She recalls her grandmother telling her that after their father abandoned them, she was asked to move in so that she and Karabo would not be left homeless. Bishop pushes harder, asking whom the grandmother sold the property to, but she insists the plan was always that her grandmother would make provisions for her in the future. The tension rises again as she brings up that her mother also owned a car, an SUV, which is now being driven by the father's girlfriend, while she, as the daughter, has never once driven it. Bishop demands clarity about the car. She answers firmly. It was her mother's SUV, registered under her mother's name. She adds that although she did not bring all the paperwork, she has those documents at home. Bishop presses her, asking why she took the papers. She answers without hesitation, saying she took them to protect her mother's assets because it is obvious the new woman is trying to take over everything. Her voice shakes with both anger and sorrow as she adds that the woman even blocked her from having access. Then she details how life changed when her father's girlfriend entered the picture. There are two houses in the extensions, with several rental rooms. Before this woman appeared, she herself was the one who collected the rent from tenants, managed the payments, and took care of all property expenses, following exactly the system her mother used to maintain. But the moment the girlfriend moved in, everything stopped. Tenants were told by her father not to pay rent to her anymore. One even phoned her the next day and confided that her father was completely under the control of this new woman, that she now managed everything. She declares bitterly that both she and Karabo have been left with nothing. Her voice rises again as she remembers the last time she tried to return home. She says she could not even go alone. She asked her aunt to accompany her because she had already been thrown out once. When she called her father to ask if she could fetch her belongings, he coldly told her to take everything she wanted. She went back, gathered what she could carry, and left behind the rest. Some items she never managed to recover, but she accepted that as her fate. Bishop leans forward, shaking his head at the father, the studio filled with silence heavy enough to crush the air. The clash between the daughter fighting for her late mother's legacy and the father claiming everything as his own burns like fire in the room. Bishop leans in and asks directly, "What is it that you want from your father today?" The daughter's voice trembles, but she answers clearly. "Today, I want him to hand over my mother's share of the estate." Bishop probes further. "What exactly do you want him to share with you?" She responds with determination. "I want everything that belonged to my mother. I don't want to be dragged into ugly fights with his partner when he eventually passes. I want clarity now while he is alive, because he has already cut himself out of my life." Bishop nods, telling her to explain more. She continues, revealing that she used to pay all the funeral policies herself. When the tenant stopped paying rent to her as instructed, she had to carry the heavy burden from her own salary, even though her father still had businesses. Out of frustration, she went to the insurance company in Pretoria and asked them to remove him from the family policy. Bishop asks her which agency it was, and she tells him it was one of the agencies in Pretoria where all her paternal relatives, including her and Karabo, were listed. She confesses that she told them she had serious issues at home, and the staff already knew because her mother had confided many things to them over the years. Bishop then asks if her mother was buried under that same policy. She confirms with tears in her eyes, "Yes, my mother was buried through them." She recalls how she told the company she wanted everyone removed from the policy because she was the only one paying. But when her mother passed away, her father's family rejected her, saying she wasn't one of that. She knew where her father was and should leave. That betrayal cut deep, so she told the agency to only keep her and Karabo on the policy. Bishop presses again, "So you removed your father from it?" She answers firmly, "Yes, I did, because he refused to give me a share of the rent." Bishop challenges her, "Why did you do that?" Her voice cracks as she fires back, "Should I really keep paying for him while he spends money on another woman and her children? Should they live comfortably while I work myself to the bone with a salary that barely covers survival?" She shakes her head, saying she refuses to carry that burden. At this point, her father interrupts coldly, saying he doesn't want to talk to her anymore. Bishop tries to calm him, saying he just wants to talk and help, but the father snaps, "Leave me alone." Bishop pushes gently, "Are you saying you don't want help even for your children?" The man glares back, asking if they are even his kids. Bishop raises his voice, "Sir, don't force me to lose patience. These are your children." Still, the father mutters angrily, "Don't force me, just leave me be." The tension in the room grows heavy, the air sharp with bitterness. Bishop then asks another burning question. "Why did the tenant stop paying rent into your daughter's account?" The father explains that he discovered one of his properties owed a huge debt, around R68,000 to R70,000, because she had not been paying the municipal rates. Bishop asks how much is still owed now, and the father replies that the amount has decreased because he pays it directly whenever he receives rent from the tenants. Bishop turns back to the daughter, asking what share exactly she wants. Her voice grows stronger as she lists them. "I want my mother's share of everything. The car she left behind, the house that stands under her name, the furniture she bought with her own money. That's all I want, just my mother's property." She explains that it was always her mother who bought furniture for their home, not his girlfriend, and she refuses to let those things be swallowed up. Bishop raises his brow, clarifying, "So you want a share of the car, the house, and the furniture?" She answers, "Yes, exactly those things. Then we can settle this." Bishop turns to the father and asks firmly, "Do you know why you have refused to give her anything?" The room holds its breath, waiting for the father's answer, the studio echoing with the sound of truth pressing to break free. The tension inside the studio was almost unbearable. Bishop Makamu, seated between the two sides, leaned forward and pressed the father with a sharp question. Why did he refuse to share the inheritance? The man, his voice steady but cold, answered that the girl herself had once admitted the house belonged to her grandmother, not to him. "That house is mine," he declared. His daughter immediately rose in protest, her voice trembling with both anger and despair. "No, let's be fair, tell the truth," she demanded, her eyes glistening with tears. Bishop intervened gently but firmly, asking the father if he had any proof of ownership. The man insisted that he did, explaining that he had bought the house from the girl's grandmother years ago. The daughter shook her head furiously, her words almost breaking into a cry. "That's not true. Where is the proof? Why are you denying what really happened?" The father sighed, his tone defensive, claiming he had thought no documents were necessary since it had been a transaction within the family. Still, he maintained that he had paid for the house. The daughter, her voice rising, said that if her grandmother were alive and present, she would testify against him, because the house had originally belonged to her late aunt, who had left it under her grandmother's name. The father dismissed her words, repeating, "I bought that house." Bishop turned to him again, asking clearly, "Whose name is on the title deed?" For a moment, the man hesitated. Then, with quiet reluctance, he answered that the deed was still under the late aunt, but that her grandmother had sold the property to him. The daughter cried out in disbelief. "Nothing will ever be resolved like this. You're not being honest," he retorted sharply. "I am telling the truth. If she had admitted that the house was mine, I would have been willing to release everything, but she refuses." The tension grew heavier until Bishop suggested that the grandmother should come and explain the matter herself. The daughter immediately agreed. "Yes, let her come and tell the truth." The father stiffened, his eyes narrowing, but eventually muttered that she could come and explain. "The house wasn't bought," the daughter repeated, her voice steady now, as if drawing strength from the thought of her grandmother standing at her side. Moments later, as new voices joined the discussion, one of her siblings spoke up, confirming the girl's story. "My sister is telling the truth. Our father takes money from the tenant's rent, but he gives us nothing. We are left with nothing, struggling while he controls everything." Bishop asked the sibling directly what they wished to say to their father. The answer came without hesitation. "We're suffering. He should think about us and give us a share." The words hung heavy in the air, echoing the pain of children who felt abandoned. But the father, instead of softening, lashed out. "A share? So you can take it and waste it? Smoke it away?" The sibling protested, admitting that they had a car that was broken down, needing parts, and that they only wanted enough support to repair it and move forward. Bishop asked whether they even had a driver's license. "I did," the sibling admitted, "but I lost it." The father shook his head, his voice sharp and unforgiving. "You're destroying yourself. Why smoke? Why waste away?" The sibling's answer came quietly, "Because of stress. Because of everything we've been through." Bishop leaned closer, his voice calmer, asking whether they had ever tried to quit. "I haven't smoked for 3 weeks," the sibling said, almost as if pleading for acknowledgement. Bishop nodded, but the father sneered, declaring they had already failed. The atmosphere became heavy once more, as accusations of lies and betrayal filled the room. The father claimed the children were scamming him, conspiring against him, while the children insisted they were only asking for fairness. Finally, Bishop Makamu, his voice carrying the weight of both authority and compassion, reminded the father of something essential. He spoke slowly, deliberately, so every word could be heard. "With the little experience I have, I know this. When a woman comes to you with her child, you are expected to take responsibility. That child becomes yours too. You are meant to love them as you love your own. As much as you provide for your other children, you should also provide for her." The words lingered, heavy with truth. And for a brief moment, the father's eyes flickered with something unspoken, perhaps guilt, perhaps realization. The studio fell silent, waiting to see if he would finally acknowledge the children, not as burdens, not as rivals, but as his own flesh and blood, deserving of the same love and share as anyone else in his household. The air in the studio grew heavy as Bishop Makamu's words settled. He turned toward the father once more, his voice measured but sharp, reminding him of a responsibility that could not be ignored. "Since her mother is no longer here, you must stand as her father. Whatever you share with your children, you must also share with her." The daughter nodded quickly, her face taut with hope and pain. "That's true. That is all I'm asking," she said softly, her voice almost breaking. Bishop then addressed the young brother, whose trembling hands betrayed his inner turmoil. "My brother," the bishop said, leaning forward, "I don't know why you started smoking, but I beg you stop. Stop before it drags you into darker things. If you quit, you'll see the difference. You'll be fine." The crowd erupted into applause, the sound filling the tense space with a brief wave of encouragement. From the side, another voice rose, a man in the audience seeking clarity. "I'd like to ask something," he said. His question cut straight to the heart of the matter. "Were you and her mother married?" The father shifted uneasily in his seat, but finally answered, "Yes, we were married." "Were you married in community of property?" The man pressed further. "Yes," the father admitted reluctantly, "in community of property." The audience murmured, and Bishop seized the moment. "Then you must give them their share," the man continued firmly. The father shook his head stubbornly, muttering, "That's impossible." But Bishop would not allow him to escape. His voice carried authority now, each word deliberate and undeniable. "Listen, when you marry in community of property, it means husband and wife share their assets equally. Now that their mother is no longer here, you must give the children her share. Take your 50% and move forward with your life, but let them also move forward with theirs. That is what you agreed to the moment you chose to marry under that law." The father lowered his gaze, the weight of the truth pressing down on him. Bishop's words continued, cutting deeper. "You have another wife now, isn't that so?" The man gave a faint nod, not daring to look up. "Then be fair," Bishop said firmly, "so they can still see you as their father. If you continue like this, you will create a war in your own house. Your children from your new wife will fight these ones. They will shed blood over property that their mother worked for. Is that what you want? To leave behind destruction instead of peace?" The daughter's tears flowed freely as Bishop pressed harder, his voice carrying both anger and compassion. "It is painful to watch someone else take what your mother struggled for. Be fair, give them their share. That is all they are asking, nothing more." The words rang with undeniable truth, echoing in the studio like a solemn judgment. Bishop's tone softened, but his message was sharp as ever. In life, sometimes a man must swallow his pride. If you do this, your children will still see you as their father when they meet you tomorrow. But if you continue in this stubbornness, they will no longer regard you as their father. Think about it. The room was silent except for muffled sobs. Bishop added one final warning. Your wife will one day fight with these children. She will claim her rights as your wife. Do you want that war? Please, give them their share and go on with your life in peace. Applause broke out again, filling the studio with the sound of approval and hope. The father sat motionless, his lips pressed tightly, caught between defiance and the truth he could no longer deny. Then Bishop turned back to the son, whose struggles had been laid bare before all. Your car, did it crash? The boy shook his head weakly. No, it's just stationary. But it's still there. Bishop's eyes narrowed with concern. You are ruining things for yourself, my boy. Why do you smoke? The young man lowered his gaze. Because of stress, he whispered. From the audience, another man gestured. Do you want to speak to him? I thought you two were peers. Bishop nodded, allowing him forward. The room shifted again, waiting to see whether the father, the children, or even the boy fighting his own demons would finally open their hearts to reconciliation, or whether pride would continue to chain them in conflict. Sir, we were only asking for one thing, the mediator began, his voice calm but steady. The father's face twisted with irritation as he snapped, Are you forcing me? The mediator shook his head and answered with patience, I'm not forcing you. I only want to speak with you and help you. But the father pushed back immediately. I don't want to. Leave me alone. The tension grew heavier as the mediator leaned forward, refusing to abandon the children's plea. Our children brought you here so that we could help you. he reminded him. The father narrowed his eyes, his words sharp as a blade. What are you helping me with? Leave me alone. The mediator's voice lowered, pressing on the truth. I'm helping you regarding your children. Are these not your children? But the father resisted, his pride like a wall. Don't force me, he barked. The mediator pressed further. Do you understand that when you have a wife in your household and then she passes away, everything changes the moment you bring another woman into the house? If you replace her carelessly, chaos follows. The father's patience snapped. Piss off, he muttered, waving him away. Yet the mediator persisted. We aren't fighting, we're advising one another. We only want fairness. The father growled. I don't want your advice. The mediator challenged him directly. Why not? Are you proud that your own children had to bring you here? Shouldn't that shame you? The father clenched his jaw. There's no truth being spoken here. I won't allow lies. I want the truth. The mediator pointed at the children. The truth is already here. It comes from your children. They are the ones speaking. They say you took their mother's share. Is that not true? The father's voice hardened. Why are they denying that I bought the house? Am I insane? That house is mine. I bought it. Why must I share? The mediator's gaze did not waver. You bought that house while their mother was still alive, right? Then half of it belongs to her. That is the law. That is justice. But the father scoffed. No way. What half? Do you even know this half you speak of? Do you know anything? The mediator pressed again. Where must the children stay then? You were not only buying the house for yourself, you were buying it for their mother too. Is that not true? The father's anger boiled over. You're just making noise. Yes, I bought it for their mother, but where is she now? Did I buy it for these children? No, I did not. The mediator's voice grew firm, almost commanding. You are a grown man. Give these children their share and leave them in peace. But the father roared back. They are lying! I will not give them a thing! The mediator countered. You cannot let a girlfriend move into the house that once belonged to their mother. The father's fist trembled as he shouted, I won't give them a thing as long as I live. That house is mine and mine alone. His words fell heavy, but the mediator did not yield. Then you admit you were using their mother all along? You claim it is yours, but if you deny their share, you deny the woman who once stood beside you. The father's voice was hoarse with rage. As long as I see they are lying, I will never give them anything. The mediator's eyes turned toward the children, then back at the father. My brother, I want the truth. These children are truthful. They would not bring you here for nothing. They only seek fairness. The father spat back. Truth? They aren't truthful. They twist the story. They want to steal from me. I bought that house because I trusted their grandmother, because I thought we were a family, and now suddenly they say I didn't buy it. Am I insane? His voice broke into a bitter laugh that echoed with defiance. Yet beneath it all was the unspoken truth everyone in the room could feel. His pride, his anger, his fear of losing control, while the children sat quietly, waiting for the fairness that had been denied to them for so long. Okay, if you bought it, then do you have the papers to prove it? Is the house under your name? The mediator pressed, his tone sharp but calm, demanding clarity. The father shifted uneasily, shaking his head with defiance. My brother, that's my family's home. Why must you ask for papers? I didn't ask for paperwork when I bought it. Don't come here with papers. You want to humiliate me. We are not talking about papers. We are talking about the money I spent, the money I put into that house. His words were harsh, his pride wounded, but the mediator refused to let go. Then show us the proof of that contribution. Otherwise, it's just words. Did you buy it or not? Where is the receipt? The father's face turned red with anger, his voice rising. Piss off! You think I came here to play? Don't mess with me. You talk too much. You twist everything. He turned suddenly to the daughter, his finger pointing like an accusation. "My sister, tell me the truth. What's going on here? Did they tell you that house belongs to me? Did they give that house to your father? Speak the truth." The daughter's voice was soft but steady, her eyes heavy with sorrow. "All I know is that the house belongs to my grandmother. I cannot speak about whether he bought it or not, because I do not know. My mother is gone, and I do not recall her ever saying she bought a house. I cannot confirm something I never heard. But what I do know is that this house, the one in question, is under my grandmother's name. That is the truth I stand by." Her words cut through the room, and the father clenched his fists, muttering under his breath. But the daughter pressed on, courage rising in her tone. "That is why I say that what I am fighting for is what I know belongs to my mother. I am not here to argue about what you claim to have bought or not bought. I am here to ask for my mother's belongings, for a share of what was hers. Even if you bought the house, let it be so. But may we please have a share of what belonged to our mother, because that is our right." The mediator leaned closer, his voice firm. "Tell us then, who does the furniture belong to? The furniture inside the house, does it belong to you and their mother?" The father's response was sharp, almost mocking. "What furniture? There is no furniture there," the children protested. "Wasn't there furniture in Jukulin? Our mother used to go there. She took us there many times." But the father shouted over them, "There is no furniture there. You are lying. Why would you live there when you have so many houses? You cannot speak about what you don't know. You talk as if you were the ones paying for everything." The mediator tried to calm the storm. "Mr. Makamu, that house is empty. There is no furniture. The matter is simple. If you fix the issue about the house, then everything will be resolved. But please, stop hiding behind anger. Show us proof." The father leaned back, his face twisted in frustration. "What proof do you want? When I bought that house, I wasn't in a rush to change the documentation. When their mother passed away, I gave them part of the balance in the middle of the week. After that, I told their grandmother that she would handle the rest. Now they say it is not mine. The book of records is with their grandmother, but she will never give it to me because they stand with her. So what do you expect me to do? Without that book, I have nothing to show." His voice cracked as he repeated, "That house is not yours. You have no proof, but I will not allow you to take it away from me." The mediator interjected, "Then accept the truth. Without proof, the house legally belongs to the mother's estate. The children have shares. They have 50% ownership according to the law. You cannot deny that." The father shouted, "No! That house belongs to me and their mother together. They want to steal it from me. They twist the story." But the mediator's voice grew heavy, almost like a verdict. "If you cannot prove it, then the house is not yours. These children have the right to claim what their mother left behind. That is justice." The room fell silent, the weight of truth pressing down. The daughter finally spoke again, her tone calm but filled with pain. "I don't have proof. My mother is gone, but I live in that house because it belongs to my grandmother. What would you have me do? Should my grandmother abandon me and throw me into the streets? This is the truth. You can try to deny it, but we know where we stand." Her words lingered in the air, and for the first time, the father's eyes dropped, his anger momentarily subdued. The narrator carried the tension in the room, each word like a stone dropped into water, rippling through the silence. A voice rose, steady yet sharp. "Who is speaking?" "It's Baloyi." "And who is that?" "Karabo's father." "Do you hear me clearly? The issue is this house. Who exactly brought you into that house?" Baloyi sighed. His tone weighted with frustration, and explained that it was his grandmother who allowed him to move in, because she saw the struggle his family was going through. The host pressed on. "Did your mother pass away first?" The reply came quickly. "No, my grandmother is still alive." "She's alive? Then tell me, did you pay money to your grandmother for that house?" "That's what he claims," Baloyi answered. But when asked directly, He shook his head and said, "My grandmother never told me anything about the house being bought. She never once said it was purchased." "Then let's call your grandmother right now. Where is her number?" The air grew heavier as the host admitted he had thought the grandmother had already passed, but now it was clear she was still alive. "Bring the phone here." Beloy's voice grew more insistent. "Even if he insists that he bought it, that doesn't change the truth. This is a 50-50 matter. He lives in a double-story house with another woman, and yet we are told to let this go? No, I want half. I want 50% of that house in the extension. I want half of my mother's belongings. I want half of the X5. He lives comfortably in another home, bought with someone else. But the houses we live in were built with my mother. There are 2 homes tied to her, and I want a share of them. Please, give me your grandmother's number. Titus's child, give it to me now. We need to confirm." The phone rang, and then a frail voice answered. "Granny? Hello, Granny. How are you? It's Toomey speaking. Can you hear me?" "Yes, this is Toomey." "Who does the house you are living in belong to?" "The one in the Y." "Who owns it?" The reply came softly but clearly. "It belonged to Dora, didn't it?" "Yes, and after her passing, it was placed under my name." "Was it ever bought?" Silence. Then a faint, hesitant voice. "Number." The weight of that single word seemed to fall like a stone in the room. Someone whispered, "She forgot. Ask her again." "Hello, Granny." The tension in the room grew heavier as the argument circled back again, the truth slipping in and out like smoke. A voice rose sharply. "Huh? Did I not buy that house from you? Hello? Can you hear me? Did I not buy that house from Granny?" The question was repeated, insistently, almost desperately, as though repeating it would force the answer to change. But the reply from the frail old woman on the other end of the line was steady. "No, they never bought a house from me." The man pressed on, his tone frustrated. "I'm asking, did I, Beloy, never buy a house from Granny?" The voice confirmed again, firm despite its fragility. "Number." Beloy tried to redirect, to bend the answer. "It's still under my name," she explained, but he cut her off. "I'm not asking whose name it's under. I'm asking if I never bought it from you." "Again," she answered without hesitation. "Number." The silence that followed seemed to press against the walls. Then the grandmother spoke again, slowly, carefully. "That house was bought by my daughter. When she bought it, she told me that everything should remain the same, that no documents should ever be changed." Beloy's voice strained, almost pleading. "I'm asking, did I not buy it from you?" Granny's voice grew sharper, tired of the circling. "I am telling the complete truth. You did not buy that house from me." The host intervened, clarifying. "Who is speaking?" Beloy answered, almost defiantly. "It's Beloy, Karabo's father. Yes, Karabo's father. Do you hear what I'm saying? Tell them clearly what you're saying, Titus." The line crackled. Then a voice explained. "Granny, Karabo's father says he bought that house. I told him I cannot answer something I do not know because my mother is gone. As far as I know, the house was never bought. When her mother came, I gave her a portion of the house because I had been paying for the house ever since the original owner passed away. I allowed the struggling children to live there. We had no intention of changing the documents or the ownership." The questions grew sharper. How much money did they give her? Did Titus give her the money? Granny's voice was steady but faint. "Titus gave me some money, but I refused. I told him I could not sell it." Then, pressed harder, she revealed, "Your mother gave me money. It is still under my name, and it will never be changed. She gave me money, but not the amount I asked for, because I wanted our $350,000 to change the documents properly, but I accepted our $100,000. The host leaned forward, eyebrows raised. "Our $100,000? Did your mother give her our $100,000? Granny's voice cracked slightly, as though fatigued by the repetition. "Yes, Your mother gave me R 100,000. I had asked for R 350,000, but she told me she could not afford it. She said by giving me half, she would at least be lifting a burden off her shoulders, and I accepted it because I had been paying rent for years. So I took the R 100,000, but the house was never properly sold. If I were to sell it, I would want R 350,000. The final question was put to rest. Who paid her the money? Granny replied firmly now, without hesitation. It was your mother. She gave it to me after our discussion. The silence after her words was heavier than before. The truth was no longer floating uncertain. It was nailed down, undeniable. The line remained open for a moment until someone muttered quietly, "Hang up." "Okay, Granny. How do I hang up?" And with that, the conversation ended, leaving the weight of her words hanging in the room. So the truth finally stood exposed, like a light no one could dim. The mediator's voice cut through the silence, calm yet absolute. The reality is clear: you did not buy the house. There is no proof, no documents, no legal trail that could defend such a claim. The very woman you insist sold it to you denies it completely, and instead she places the truth elsewhere. Her own child, not you, gave her money. Yes, it was R 100,000. Not the R 350,000 she had originally asked for, but she accepted it on the condition that the children of the deceased would always have a place to stay. That is not ownership. That is compassion. And compassion is not a sale, which means you, sir, hold no share, no donation, no rightful claim over that house. The man bristled, trying to regain control. He argued, his voice rising. "It was bought by me, mister. Makamu," he declared, his pride swelling. But the mediator answered quickly, firmly, dismantling his protest. "No, it was never bought by you. You have no papers, no evidence, nothing that the law can recognize. Even you admitted that without documents, you have nothing to fight with." He faltered, repeating himself, searching for ground to stand on. But every word revealed the sinking truth. He had no foundation. The mediator leaned in, the weight of authority pressing down on the room. "Let me show you the reality. That house does not exist in the deceased's estate. It is not a share to be divided. The only shares that exist are the rooms you occupy, the portion you live in. Those are yours. But this other house? It belongs to the family. It belongs to the children left behind. To claim otherwise is dishonesty." His eyes narrowed, anger flashing, but the mediator did not waver. He tried again, bitterly. "Then I won't give her anything. I won't give her a house. I won't give her a share. She is dishonest." And her grandmother even said it. The words landed like stones, cold and hard, but the mediator did not let them linger. He answered with a steady firmness, "No, what we are doing here is fairness. Let me tell you how we work. We begin with dialogue by calling you here and giving you the chance to speak. But if you deny the truth, if you resist what is just, then we escalate. We will place this matter in the hands of attorneys who will ensure the law speaks louder than pride. The house can be sold, and the proceeds split evenly among the children of the deceased, 50-50 without bias." The man grumbled, his words sharp, but at last he muttered his consent. "Yes, then let it go to court." "Fine, let it go to court." The mediator nodded slowly, his voice dropping to a tone both final and solemn. "So be it. If court is what you choose, then court it shall be. But understand, by doing this, we protect the legacy of the deceased from being swallowed by greed and dishonesty. Without intervention, this man's wife would strip the children of their mother's inheritance, leaving them with nothing. That will not be allowed. Justice will not bend." The mediator then turned to the others, gathered in the room. "You have heard the grandmother's testimony. You have heard the truth spoken clearly. What do you have to say?" A woman rose, her voice steady, carrying the wisdom of experience. I believe that when you claim to have bought something, you must have proof, tangible proof, documents, receipts, transfers that can be traced, anything that stands as evidence. Because without that, words are meaningless. Next time, she continued, when you buy something, keep your papers, make copies, store them in safes. Protect yourself with truth that can be seen, not just spoken. Then she softened, though her eyes remained sharp. As for this matter, I see a man clouded by influence, not reason. For if he truly believed he had bought this house, he would not throw children into the street. He would not take the roof from over their heads. A man who marries must provide for his wife elsewhere. He must build a new home, not seize the old one that belongs to the children of another. This house is their family's house, their inheritance, their shelter. To take it is not only unjust, it is cruel. The room fell quiet after her words, the weight of them sinking deep into every heart present. Even the man who had argued so bitterly was left with no answer, his silence louder than his defiance had ever been. The mediator gave a final nod, closing the matter with words that rang like judgment. You have heard it all, the testimony, the truth, and the wisdom. The path forward is no longer hidden. If you seek fairness, then it will be in court. But know this, the truth has already spoken, and the truth does not change. Thank you for walking with us through this powerful and emotional journey. Every story we share carries the weight of real lives, real struggles, and real lessons. And we are grateful that you chose to spend your time with us today. If this episode touched you, if it opened your eyes or made you reflect on justice, family, and truth, then we invite you to be part of our growing community. Please give this video a like, share it with someone who needs to hear this story, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you ensure that you never miss the next chapter, the next revelation, the next voice that deserves to be heard. Together, we can keep these stories alive, shining a light where others choose to hide in shadows.